Hey everybody, there is something exciting coming up in October. Richard, what are we going to be doing today?
Today we're going to be covering everything you guys need to know about the upcoming comet, Tsuchinshan. I should have practiced that. I'm not going to try it again. We're going to call it Sui. It sounds so funny. It's like, Sui! So we'll be going over some key dates, how to find it, and best locations to see it. And then wrap up with some photography tips.
Yeah, this space snowball is only going to be around for a couple of weeks, so we want to make sure you have all the info to be prepared to see it. We'll also explain this calendar because the best day, it's a relative term, and it takes in a number of variables, such as its predicted brightness, how high it's going to be in the sky during the twilight or the night, and the moon's brightness.
And since we all like rockets, we'll be keeping an eye on any launch opportunities from either coast. Oh, what happened there? From East Coast, West Coast launches that will coincide with the comet.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah. So Sui is set to peak around mid-October, and it might even be brighter than the comets Neowise and Hale-Bopp back in 97. If all goes well, it could have a big, beautiful tail and a peak magnitude of -1 to -2. Just to put this into a context, we took this photo when Neowise was at a 1. And with magnitudes, lower numbers are brighter, so Sui's -2 potential might be even more stunning than this.
And comets, you've probably heard this before, but comets are very unpredictable, so it could break up, but we'll see how this one survives, hopefully, and in 2 weeks as perihelion. So closest approach to the sun. You know what? Not only are we going to possibly see some coinciding rocket launches, but I think there's a couple of meteor showers too, right?
Oh yeah, that would be really neat. So let's start with some quick notes and we'll jump into the key dates. If you're using Skyhaps to help find Sui, we like Stellarium, but there are multiple Tsuchinshans out there. Make sure you're searching the one with C2023A3 in the name. Even if your app only has one, still make sure it's the one we're talking about. Now, this guide applies for anyone in the Northern Hemisphere, but we'll use some Los Angeles specific times. You can use those Sky apps to get your location times. And you know what? You can also download all these charts that we're using at richardsrocketry.com. Okay, so here are the important viewing dates for this comet. September 27th through October 3rd. Sui will rise and be visible in the morning, just before sunrise. You have to look east and low to the horizon, but be really fast because the sun comes up and just totally spoils the fun really quickly. And October 7th through 10th, this is when the comet is going to be sandwiched directly between Earth and the sun, so we just won't be able to see it. On October 11th through 13th, now here is where it switches to an evening comet, and it sets after the sun. These are expected to be Sui's peak brightness days due to it making its closest Earth approach. However, its low position in the sky and its short hang time with all the twilight light just makes viewing probably going to be kind of difficult.
I think that's opposite of Neowise, right? Wasn't the morning viewing the brighter than the evening viewing?
Yeah, it was.
It's dimming then.
Yeah, and then October 14, this is also still in the evening. It's going to be evening from here on out. During this time, the good visibility continues while it's still bright, and the comet starts higher and higher each evening, meaning it'll set later and later each night and be up during darker sky. But it's going to continue to gradually dim. But unfortunately, the moon's going to be a factor during these dates. October 18 through 19th, although the comet is still dimming, these are prime days for viewing because the moon will finally start to leave the skies while the comet is up. The tail could extend up to 20 degrees wide, making it really ideal for photography. And then sadly, October 20th through November, it's Sui will still be in the sky and it'll be nice and high later in the night, but it just continues to dim. And it really becomes a binocular object by late October, early November. We thought it could be helpful or maybe even interesting to contextualize where it is relative to the sun and Earth in each day. So here we got Sui bombing into our orbits here, and it's just buzzing us in the sun. And then this, let's call it a top-down view. I mean, what's top in space, right? Here's where it will be closest to the sun on September 27th. See how it's like offset from the sun on the right here? Those are our morning view days. And then this is why we won't be able to see it a couple of days into October. This date is showing October 9th because it's kind of like driving down the highway when the sun sets westbound. It just sun right in your eyes. You can't see the comet at all. But then it switches over to the evening side of the sun for us. And it makes its closest path to Earth. And then we've got, away it goes. Bye-bye for a long, long time. Fun fact, the tail when it's going away from the sun is going to actually be in front of the head, in front of the direction it's going. The head is also called the coma. It's the solar winds that cause that. It's kind of like walking in a windstorm and the wind is blowing from behind you and all your hair and your umbrella and everything's blowing in front of you. It kind of looks like it's traveling in the direction of the head, right?
Right.
But it's not necessarily so.
It's whatever is facing away from the sun.
Yeah. So let's look closer at some individual days. Since these times are based on a Los Angeles location, just look up the location times for where you're at, especially the sunrise or sunset. And as we choose when its viewing might be best, we'll take into account a couple of things. Right here, its predicted magnitude, how high it's going to be in the sky, and particularly an hour or later after sunset. And because when it's less than an hour before after sunrise or sunset, it just dims rapidly because there's just too much light still in the sky. And then third, if the moon is up in the sky and how bright it is. So the closer the cell is in this chart to green, the better the variable has on viewing. The closer to red, the worse. And regards to brightness, it should appear brighter than these numbers over here because of an effect called forward scattering, and it gets closer to Earth on October 12th. So here is a color-coded calendar view of this. It gives our best guess to the best days to see Sui, combining all the variables. This is if it doesn't break up.
And we'll be mentioning how high the comet will be in degrees. We'll be using degrees to say how high it is above the horizon. So if you haven't used this type of guidelines, as you can see, I think a good guideline is the 10 degrees. So you put your hand out in a fist, extend it out to your arm's length, and then line up the bottom part up to the horizon, and where you see the top part, that would be 10 degrees, approximately 10 degrees. Same thing with the others, 15, 25.
Yeah, it's been so useful for us.
And what did they say? They said the full moon is
a half a degree. Yeah. Okay, so now here are some more details on those dates we talked about. September 27th through October 3rd. The moon is in the sky, but it's not too bright. The magnitude of the comet is getting brighter at this point, and sunrise, at least for us, is at 6:45. And 1 hour before, Sui is very low to the horizon at 3 degrees. At 3 degrees, there is a lot of atmosphere down there, and it also interferes with being able to see celestial objects. So anything under 3 degrees, you kind of almost assume that you won't be able to see it. Plus, with it being so close to sunrise, it's just going to get washed out from the glow of the sun. This is what it looks like in stellarium on that day. We've got Sui right here. And all these are going to be on the website at a 3 degrees altitude here in the east. Moon's almost right above it. Leo is some major ones. I forget, what is that? Darion. What's the name of that bright Leo star? I forget.
Good too.
All right. Clearly not scientists. So
I think it's Rigel.
Oh, Rigel. Yes, I think so. Whoops. All right. And just to show you example, now Sui here is here 9 degrees in the sky, but
sun's already coming up.
Sun's coming up, exactly. Yeah.
Well, it was like that Leonard, I think it was 2021, Comet Leonard. We had 2 minutes before it got high enough where we can see it where we were, and then the sun washing it out. It was like 120 seconds. That's all we had.
It really sucked.
It's kind of like a total eclipse.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, it's over.
Start the stopwatch.
So on October 11th through 13th in general, the evening of October 11th is realistically too early to try to see it. It sets in exactly an hour after sunset, maybe giving it a brief glimpse as the sky gets darker between 30 and 45 minutes after sunset. So yeah, that's unrealistically. The 12th is when the 12th is when it's closest to Earth. You can see each day it is higher and higher in the sky an hour after sunset. That gives it more time at night before setting. But look at this moon brightness. We've got 65, 75, 85% illuminated. It's like, why? Like, it picked the worst possible time to go full. So frustrating. And then here's a look at stellarium, what it looks like. Here's the difference between the 11th and the 13th. So see down here, an hour after sunset on the 11th, Sui is already set. And then it's too bright, adjust a half hour after sunset. Here, see how much higher it is in the sky on the 13th, 1 hour after sunset. So that way, why I think the 13th is going to be a better viewing day. All right, October 14th through 17th. It's getting higher and higher in the sky. The moon is getting brighter and brighter. It's unbelievable. Look at that. 85 all the way to a full moon here on the 17th. And I mean, these are still going to be good viewing days. It's just sad the amount of light that's going to be in the sky from these days. See how high it is in the sky? Oh, Arcturus. That is look at this, between Venus and Arcturus, that is 2 great points to try to find it super easily, right above the western sky. So then finally, 18th through 20th, goodbye moon. See the moon rise time of 7:03 on the 18th. That's only 45 minutes after sunset. So you have to be super quick on that day. But on October 19th, there's more time before the moon rises later at 7:47. And that gives us a full hour and a half before it rises. It will be great viewing on this day, with that window between 60 and 90 minutes after sunset. And in stellarium, this shows where you'll be looking for the comet again, also between Venus and Arcturus, but higher on this day. It's a Saturday, though, so it's going to be so crowded everywhere.
Hopefully we won't have to look for constellations. They'll just be
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Super bright.
Good point.
See the tail.
Right.
Look, here I am.
Look west. Well, it's going to be 25 degrees in the sky on Friday, October 18. So that's, I think, the Shaka sign above the western horizon.
25 degrees.
Yeah. All right. October 20th through November. And unfortunately, Sui is getting dimmer and dimmer, and the moon is finally gone, but it's just not much help at this point. It does stay up longer and longer each night in the sky. Like it stays almost basically 4 hours every single one of these nights. So still a decent day to catch it without the moon and it being nice and dark, high in the sky. But towards the end of the month, it gets down to a 5 magnitude, which is a binocular object for the most part. So sad, kind of say goodbye to it at that point.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, is that all these viewings that we've been talking about are all naked eye. So if you have a telescope, it might be really nice. You can still continue to watch it and see it, or good binoculars. But other than that, it's all naked eye. So good for us since we don't have a telescope.
Yeah, good idea. Look how high it is up here. What is that? 33 degrees. That's great.
How would you do 33? 25? Like this?
Yeah.
Really high.
All right. Let's just talk real quickly about where to go see it before we move on to photography. Here are some general tips wherever you are, and then a few specific locations that are good for Southern California.
So your three biggest considerations for viewing, for good viewing, successful viewing, is going to be dark skies, unobstructed views, unobstructed horizon, and weather forecasts.
Yeah. And in regards to dark sky, even though this comet might be bright enough to see in suburban areas at its brightest, you should still try to get into dark of an area as possible to see it. I mean, search for a dark sky map on the web and you'll find something looking like this to help find a good location. One idea is to check for bright cities that might be in the way. Like if it's a morning view in the east, don't put Las Vegas right below the eastern horizon because you're going to get a big old glow.
Artificial rising sun.
Right. But if you really want dark skies, just go take that tropical vacation you've been waiting for, because Hawaii's got some of the darkest skies. It's really, really dark out there, out in the ocean. So Clear Dark Sky, this is the website we use for our hour-by-hour cloud forecasts. It shows this red line at midnight. It gives you a 3-day window of forecasts, and here it is in military time up on top. The dark blue squares are clear skies, and the white squares are cloudy skies. I find it incredibly accurate, and we use it a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Dark, clear, dark,
Yeah.
White clouds. Okay, got it. A lot of times we say, "Oh, let's go to the beach," and it's like you always have to contend with that marine layer, the fog, and just the not clear skies out there a lot of times.
So here's a bonus tip: when you're heading out to dark skies, typically they're also bad areas for data. So keep in mind to maybe print or download some offline maps or charts, time charts and stuff like that, because it just sucks when you get out there and like, okay, no bars. All my information is on the cloud, on the web. Yeah. And then a bonus tip. So I like setting up a Bluetooth speaker to play podcasts in mountain lion areas. I know it's low risk, but they are notorious for not liking human voices. And they're also really active during dusk and dawn, exactly when we're looking at the comet. So better safe than sorry. I think some will worry more, clearly.
Here are some of our viewing spots for California, Southern California. Joshua Tree National Park. Keys View is really good for actually morning and evening views. There's a road coming up to Keys View, which gives a great easterly view. And then sunsetting is the actual Keys View lookout point. It does get crowded a lot there almost every day because people love that sunset, so get there early.
Yeah, and for this next one, I don't think I should be the one trying to say this. I apologize in advance if you speak Spanish, but Cerro Noroeste. Yeah, this one it's north of LA in the Grapevine. It's a mountain peak out there, and it offers westward views for viewing the comet in the evening. And isn't it right behind the campground? You guys like go into the campground and go beyond it right to the ridge. Yeah.
And then also a real popular one down south a little bit more is Anza Borrego. Beautiful area, but nice dark skies and beautiful. Yeah, really good place to go.
Okay. So now on to some photography tips for both phones and cameras. For your photography equipment, use a manual camera with a telephoto lens. Aim for between 70 and 200 millimeter length of your focal length, depending on how long of a tail you expect to see. Also, bring a tripod and a remote shutter release to avoid camera shake. You can use a phone. Just remember to bring a tripod for it or a way to strap your selfie stick to an object so it stays really still. And then just set the camera app to nighttime programming so it gives you those longer exposures.
Do you also set the timer for since you don't have a shutter release?
Yeah, if you have a Samsung, you can say cheese, and it'll do a
hand.
Or you can throw your hand up. Yeah, with iPhones, a lot of people have remote Bluetooth shutter releases on their selfie sticks. And yeah, that's a good idea. Delay it.
Self-timer.
Yeah. Yeah, for the settings, there is a rule of 500 that applies to shutter speed rules. It helps you choose a shutter speed that avoids star trails. Like, for example, a 100 millimeter lens should have a maximum shutter speed of 5 seconds. Other settings, I would say, start with an ISO of at least 1,000 and use a wide aperture, maybe between f2, f4, to get as much light into the camera as you can. And then some focus tips, because focusing, you'd think like, oh, I just need to set it onto the infinity setting and that will go as far as the stars go. But surprisingly, it's usually a little backed off of infinity. So use a bright star or a planet and then just use that to fine tune its sharpness. And generally, you will find that it's backed off of infinity a little bit. And remember, you may only have a few minutes to get a good shot, especially in those morning ones. So practice adjusting your settings quickly so you don't get into panic mode before the sky brightens or the comet sets. One quick tip is that you could focus on a bright planet the night before and then apply a little tape on the focus ring so it won't budge and then take it out the next night. Here's a look at the settings we had for this shot of Neowise in Joshua Tree National Park. When you zoom in, you can see the distorted star shapes because we chose a 6-second exposure with a 105 millimeter focal length. This shot is very close to the horizon of 4 degrees, and you can see how much of the influence that the rising sun has, even though sunrise was a whole hour and 20 minutes away. And this was only 6-second exposure.
So let us know if you guys have any tips that we've missed or any tips that would help us out.
And for some of our rocketry content, you can click here to see what it's like watching a SpaceX launch from a neighborhood in Southern California, or you can see what it's like trying for a level 1 high-powered rocketry certification by clicking here. Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.